Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Welcome to VBA Beyond Basics, exploring the possibilities in VBA and the combination of Excel. So let's see what we discussed in the last video and what is agenda of today's video. In the last video, I talked about buttons, spinners, option box, check boxes, list box, labels, scroll bar, combo box. This combo box is also like drop down menu. So I hope these were simple and clear to everyone. So let's look at today's agenda. Today we are going to take a big leap. We are going to create a new Excel function. Just like the built-in functions of Excel, which are if, VLOOKUP, SUMIF, subtotals. Just like that, we are going to have our own Excel function, right? So let's so be ready. So this is a new thing you are going to learn. First, let's recall what we know about Excel functions. So what we know about Excel function is that we call function with entering the is equal sign in our cell, and then the is equal sign follows a name. That is the function name. For example, if I am going to use the if function, it will be if is equal sign, name of the function, and then comes our round bracket. So is equal to if round bracket, and within that round bracket we use our parameters, arguments, or options, whatever name you want to give them. So let's call them parameters. So the parameters of if functions are separated by a comma. Like if you can see, if logical test, comma, value if true, comma, value if false. So if A is equal to B, comma, then C, comma, then D. So this is the syntax of if function. If bracket start A is equal to B, the first parameter or first argument, then comma, then C, comma, then D. So all the parameters are separated with a comma. This is the basic syntax we use in every Excel functions. Either it is if, SUMIF, VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, any other subtotals, all follow this principle. A name of the function, brackets, and within the brackets the parameters are separated by commas. So keeping this concept in mind, let's move forward. So what we need to understand is that functions are present in modules. Just like macros, we create our functions in modules. The next step is that we start our function with the word function instead of the word sub. So sub is out, function is in. So just like in macros we use sub and end sub. In function we use function and end function. So the word function is followed by the function name. That is just like sum, if, VLOOKUP, whatever name we want to assign to our function, that name follows the word function. After the word functions, within the brackets, we can use our variables or we can avoid them. When we do practical, when we are going to do this practically, I will show how this is done. And another important thing is that the function name must comes on the left of is equal sign, so that there is some value assigned to that function. And why that is important? Because any value, what value we assign will appear in the cell. Okay, so if we don't assign any value to the function name, nothing will appear in the cell. So end result should be equal to function name, or function name is equal to the final result, and that result will appear in the cell. So assigning a value to function name is must. And then how to run a function? We know that a function is called by is equal sign in a cell. So this is simple. Place in module, start with function, use variables, make sure that function name is on the left of the equal sign at least once, there is a value assigned to it, and end with end function. So let's go and see how this is done. So here I have a blank module, and you can see I have uh, different names of the modules, and that is simple. We discussed earlier, when we insert a module, say this is module 1, I can name it, change the name of the module in the properties windows, which we can have from the view menu, view properties window, and in the properties window when I click on module 1 I can have this name, and I can say whatever test name. So as soon as I press enter, test name will appear in the module list. So let's go into our first module and let's create a new function. So as I said, instead of sub, the function will start with the word function, and this will be followed by name of the function, and that name is, let's say, add 10. And because we are following a certain format, that whenever I will use a name that I am giving, I will use the word v. So this is v will let you know that this is not a reserved word, this is a variable. So I can use any name. So v at 10, bracket start, bracket close, enter. And as soon as I press enter, the end function appears automatically. So, and the last thing and the very important thing is that the name of the function should appear on the left side of the is equal sign, which means that we need to assign a value to that function. So let's assign a value, and that would be add, sorry, v add 10. v add 10 is equal to Microsoft Excel. So let's go to our workbook now, and let's try to use this function is equal to v, and you can see that the first option is v at 10. As soon as my function is accepted as a valid function, it will appear in the list of the functions in Microsoft Excel automatically. So v add 10 without any arguments or parameters, enter. And here you can see Microsoft Excel appears because my function is equal to add 10. Alright, so next thing is, like, if I want to pass a value from my worksheet to VBA, how to do it? For example, I want to add 10 to the value of 40, the answer should be 50. But right now there is an error. What is the error? Within the brackets, I am sending a value to VBA. But in VBA, in the brackets, there is no value to catch. You see, here I am sending a value within the brackets, that is 40. But in this bracket, there is nothing to catch. I need to define a variable so that the value Excel sheet is sending to VBA is caught and stored in that variable. Let's say, let's call this is base num. So the variable is, let me turn that v to small, yeah, lowercase. So I am sending the value of 40 and that is now stored in vbase num. So let's use this vbase num and say vbase num base number plus 10. So I'm sending the value of 40 to VBA. VBA is catching it and storing it in VBase num. That is, now VBase num is 40 and I'm saying the value of my function is v at 10, that is equal to base number plus 10. So let's go to Excel and run this equation. V at 10 bracket, within the bracket 40, let me press enter and I get 50. So this is the simplest form of uh, function we can have, and you can see the equation and the result. So function followed by function name, within the brackets the variables, and then the function name has to assign a value, and after that value we need to end the function. This is the simplest form. So this is the right time for you to pause this video and test your function. Go and create a function at 10 now. So I hope everyone is ready now. They have done the assignment. So let's move forward. Instead of using one variable, let's use two variables. Let's send two values from Excel sheet to VBA. So let's prepare our VBA to catch the second argument or the parameter. Just like in a function we separate parameters with a comma, just like that I will separate the variables within the bracket in VBA while defining the function with a comma. So the second would be v second num, sec num. So this will be the second number, and let's go and first let's do some calculations. Copy this. Instead of adding 10, let's say add 10 is equal to v base number plus v sec number. So these are the two variables. I am going to say 40 comma 59. Enter. The answer is 99. And what if I say is equal to v at 10 triple 1 comma triple 2. Enter. The answer is triple 3. So just like normal functions, I can pass variables, different variables in different cells with the same function, within the same function. So this is v base num, v sec num, add 10 is equal to v base num plus the second number. So this is simplest form of function. Let's move forward and discuss. Let's have a look at a practical example how a function is used. So in this workbook, we have names, we have salaries, and we have the grade every employee has achieved in their, let's say, annual increment, for their annual increment, and these are like 5066 entries. So we want to calculate new salary based on their annual salary and the grade. So let's go and look at the, so here it is. Let me get away from your, yeah, this is better. So this is, let me comment it out for the time being. So this is a function. What is the name of the function? The name of the function is new sal. New sal is the name of the function. And how many parameters or arguments are there? There are two arguments. First is grade and other is old sal. Let me replace these with, first it should be old sal, then it should be grade. Your variable name should be uh, 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 reflective of what is stored in them, and you should not be using same variable name for two things. So for two different parameters there should be two different variable names. So new salary, first variable is the old salary, and the second variable or the argument is the grade. So, and let's look at the function. If grade is equal to a, then new sal, which is our function, so function is coming on the left side of the is equal sign, there is a value being assigned to this function. New salary is equal to old sal multiplied by 120 divided by 100. So instead of saying 120%, I have to uh, do it this way, because in VBA percent sign is not accepted. So you have to multiply by the full number, then divide it by 100. And if grade is equal to B, then new salary is equal to 116%, and if grade is C, then it is plus 14%, if D plus 10%, and so on till it is H. In if someone got grade H, then the old salary should multiply by only 5%. So let's try to use this function, and the function name is new sal. So is equal to new. So here is my function, just pressing the tab key, new sal. So first thing is the old sal. So old sal is in C2, comma, and the grade is in D2. Close, enter. And let me paste it 5000 times. And this is 31%, 37%. Oh, this is slow. Okay, quite slow. So I have these values. So these are my new salaries. Think about it. If I have to create this nested if function in this worksheet for 5000 times and then copy it 5000 times, how much time it's going to take, and how much further slow it's going to make my PC. Because right now I am recording this video, PowerPoint is running, Excel is running, so my system is a bit slow. But if instead of using this function, it had been if this, then this, if this, then this, if this, then this. So nested ifs 5000 times, my computer would have been dead slow then. So what I have done is, instead of those nested functions, nested ifs, I have created a function within VBA and used it. Okay, so I hope this is clear how we use this function. Let me delete this so that I can have this quick. Right, the next thing is, what is this command? Application.volatile. Application.volatile makes sure that whenever your worksheet do a calculation, this function new cell is calculated again, whether or not there is a change in parameter. So if I'm getting the desired result, there is no need to use this function, this command or function, application.volatile. But if you ever experience that your function is not getting calculated when needed, you can use application.volatile. This will make sure that whenever Excel runs a calculation, this function, whether or not there's a change in parameter, calculates itself. Okay, so if I don't use it and I have these values, these values are not calculated till the time I change the annual cell or the grade. If there is a change, then Excel is going to recalculate this function. Otherwise, if I make a change in G2, Excel is not going to calculate these functions which are not changed by change of the parameters or the value in G2. So this was about application.volatile, and this is how practically we use a function. So let's move to the next point again in these functions. The next thing you need to know is the optional parameters. What is an optional parameter in a function? Optional parameter is, if the user want to use it, it can use it. If it doesn't, he or she doesn't want to use it, he can avoid that parameter or the argument. So let's see what I mean by that. Where is my Excel? Here it is. So if I say, let me go back to a better sheet. Yeah, is equal to if, you can see this value if true and value if false, they are in big brackets, the square brackets. So if there is a square bracket with the argument, it means that this is optional. So after the logical test, say if 1 is equal to 1, I do not put anything what to do and press enter. There will be an error. Why? If logical test, there's a problem with the formula. You type 1 plus shows 2. Okay. Oh, okay, whatever. Uh, let's say 1 is equal to 1, like that. Is it acceptable? A is equal to A. No, why not? Comma 1. Okay. So I don't know why this is acting this strangely, but you can see that the second argument, which is value if false, I have not entered that, and even then this equation is accepted by Excel and it is running properly. So if I want to have an optional variable or argument or parameter in my function, how to do it? this is a very difficult task to do, because what you need to do is you need to type optional. Yeah, difficult task, yes or no? So let's say if I have function adder and it has two parameters v1 comma v2, v2, then I need to say v adder is equal to v1 plus v2, and I say that's it. But I want, what this is doing, this is simply adding the both of, let me zoom a bit. Yeah, yeah. So this is adding two variables v1 and v2. What if I want to have v2 optional? But first let's test this function if it is working. Let's delete this v adder v adder 9,8, enter. Answer is 17. Good. Where is my VBA? Here it is. So I want to have this second optional. So the difficult task is to type optional before this variable, and let's say I say v adder is equal to v2, which is optional, and I don't, right now it is, if I don't make any change, so the v adder 9 point, what's happening, v adder 9,8 is giving the result of 8, with 8 is the second variable, and this is say v adder is equal to the second variable, which is optional. So if I don't use the second option, I have only one variable, what's going to be the result? It is going to be 0, because my second variable has no value. I'm not using the second variable, the second argument. So if I say 9,11, the result is 11, and if I say v adder is equal to v1 plus v2, now what will happen? Let's enter, and it is 20. So optional variable is v2. This is how we enter the optional variable, but there is one catch. And what is that? If if I'm using some calculation on that variable, you see, initially what I did was v adder is equal to v2. So whatever the value of v2 was displayed, and if there was no v2, the answer was 0. But right now I am doing some calculation, v1 plus v2. What if I skip the second variable and it is only 9 now? If I press enter, there is an error. Why? Because the optional v2 is missing. Okay, fine, it is optional, but Excel is trying to do some calculation. So when I am trying to do some calculation, I have to assign an initial value to 2. The optional variable need to have a value, initial value, that will be used in case no parameter is, no value is transferred from Excel sheet to VBA. So this should be equal to 0, nothing. So whenever there is a calculation, v2 will be always be 0. What if I go and recalculate this function? The answer is 9. And what if I say 45? The answer is 54. So this is how we define a optional parameter or the argument in a customized function. I hope this is clear. So the video is already for 30 minutes, so I will stop the video here and give you an assignment. And meanwhile, um, your assignment is to try to create this function with multiple parameters and try to use this optional argument. Create a function with optional argument just like I did. So this will help you understand uh, the function part, and then we will move to the next topic within the function. So in the next video we will talk more about the functions.